threats, turn on NordVPN. It's trusted by millions of users. Just visit NordVPN.com. One of the fastest VPNs on Earth will block web trackers, malicious websites, and malware-ridden downloads. It will also encrypt your internet traffic while maintaining a smooth connection. So improve your digital privacy and protection against hackers with one simple click. Get the special deal at NordVPN.com and enjoy safer internet daily. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed, and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. That's 800-696-2871.
Time now for the O'Reilly Update Message of the Day. On this Friday, as you know, Hunter Biden testified under oath in front of 2 congressional committees about his father and whether the president knew that Hunter and his uncle Jim had amassed tens of millions of dollars. Well, surprise, Hunter said, no, my dad knew nothing about it, nada. Don't even think about it, because Joe Biden had no idea foreign people were writing his son huge checks. No idea. Hunter also purports that the entire situation is political and no one should believe a word of it. It's a Trump Republican MAGA plot to destroy the Biden family. Democrats immediately belted out a series of hosannas, completely accepting Hunter's analysis. Come on, who could possibly disbelieve Hunter Biden? Now, I have children. If they were amassing millions of dollars, I think I would know about it. How about you? But Joe didn't know. And that's that. Close the book, turn out the lights, say goodnight. What a world this is. Hunter emulating the group Dire Straits, money for nothing. And just so you know, his father didn't know anything, and neither did Sergeant Schultz. You get that reference? I know nothing. Hogan's Heroes. I'm Bill O'Reilly. I approve the message by writing it. You can reach me, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, name and town if you wish to opine. Now let's go to the mail. Tom Spurlock, Yorba Linda, California. Bill, I disagree with your analysis. Biden and his puppeteers care greatly about the migrants coming to the U.S. This assures the Democratic vote domination in the years to come, as illegal immigrants will vote Democrat. Okay, so you're disagreeing when I say President Biden does not care about controlling the open border. You know that's true, Tom. He doesn't care about controlling it. That was what I said. He doesn't care. Laken Riley, he doesn't care. It's 100% correct what I said. Okay, so you can't disagree with that. Your continuum is there's a reason that the open border, and that's down the road votes. Yeah, it's logical, but you can't prove it. Brian Bonnell, Beaver Creek, Ohio, it doesn't make sense that Biden's old and feeble and you can't be prosecuted for the documents, but he's still okay to run the country. Of course it doesn't make it. It's all politics. Look, they could have indicted Biden on the document thing, just like they could have indicted Hillary Clinton on the personal email thing. They didn't want to do it. That's it. Mark Hafner, Westlake Village, California, federal law trumps state law. How do states pass laws that conflict with federal law? Well, you could pass anything you want. For example, Oregon passes a law that says hard drugs possession is okay. Now they're trying to rescind the law because it's caused so much damage to the state. But they passed it. If you are a DEA agent in Portland, Oregon, and you're making a case on heroin, the state of Oregon can't stop you. You can arrest those people and cart them off and indict them in federal court. And the state can't do anything about it. That's the power of federal law over state law. In a moment, something you might not know. Running a small business means facing increasing costs to keep the lights on each month. This has been the reality for some time, but it's clear that things are getting tougher. Banks are becoming more cautious and strict about lending money to small businesses, making it seem almost impossible for owners to get the funds they need to operate. Despite these challenges, many small business owners have found innovative ways to keep their businesses moving forward. Capitus, a trusted financing company that is not a bank, has provided more than $5 billion in working capital to small businesses nationwide. They can help businesses like yours navigate through uncertain economic times and thrive. To learn how non-bank financing can benefit your business, visit capitus.com/bill for a free consultation. That's KAPITUS.com/bill.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Now, the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. 10 years ago today, President Barack Obama held an emergency 90-minute phone call with Vladimir Putin. Just hours earlier, the Russian dictator had violated Ukraine's sovereignty, seizing the coastal region of Crimea. Here is the story. On March 1st, 2014, Vlad invaded the territory to allegedly secure the safety of ethnic Russians and Russian citizens there. Well, that was exactly the same tactic Hitler used before World War II. That evening, President Obama warned Putin to avoid any further acts of aggression. The White House released the following statement, quote, "The United States calls on Russia to de-escalate tensions by withdrawing its forces and refraining from any interference elsewhere in Ukraine. If Russia has concerns about the treatment of ethnic Russian and minority populations in Ukraine, the appropriate way to address them is peacefully," unquote. Well, Putin obviously ignored that statement. The fighting lasted less than 3 weeks in Crimea. By March 29th, it was formally annexed into the Russian Federation. For the next decade, Moscow covertly planned to take all of Ukraine. In 2018, Bad Vlad constructed a 12-mile bridge connecting Crimea to the Russian mainland. 2 years later, Putin's forces began training for a full-scale assault on Kyiv. By 2021, more than 150,000 Russian soldiers were amassed along the border. On Christmas, the Kremlin issued a series of demands, including a written agreement that Ukraine would never be accepted into NATO. In February 2022, Putin ordered the invasion. The result has been the most catastrophic conflict in Europe since World War II. U.S. intel estimates more than 30,000 civilian deaths, 300,000 soldiers killed in action. And here's something else you might not know. The war has also caused the biggest humanitarian disaster since the Nazi Holocaust. 10 million refugees are scattered around Europe. Back after this. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles and have an auto warranty about to expire or have no warranty at all, listen up. Car Shield has a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that's now available to the public. Save on out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. So please call Car Shield now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. 800-925-7584 for a free quote. This protection plan is at an all-time low in price. Drivers who activate the vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing and car rental options at no additional cost. So please call for your free quote, 800-925-7584, 800-925-7584. Hey, what do you have to lose? 800-925-7584. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin.
When you look at the damages that have occurred here, it's just gone. Completely gone. Nothing left but ashes on the ground.
Abbott says up to 500 structures may have been destroyed by wildfires. The Republican governor cautioned in a news conference Friday that the number of lost properties could rise and that damage assessments were still underway. It's a different story out west, where a powerful Pacific storm is expected to drop 10 feet of snow in the Sierras. National Weather Service meteorologist Matt Chiba says the storm has started and will last until Sunday morning.
With the storm, we are seeing some very strong winds gusting up to 70 miles per hour in some lower elevations and up to well over 100 miles per hour in the higher elevations.
A blizzard warning through Sunday morning covers a 300-mile stretch from north of Lake Tahoe to south of Yosemite National Park. Political journalist Ben Domenech tells the Salem Radio Network Republicans may soon find themselves missing the influence of Mitch McConnell as party leader, given his historic accomplishments.
The point that I think is a very unquestionable one is that within the last 25 years, the mark that Mitch made on the Republican Party and the Republican approach in Washington is immeasurable compared to others.
The 82-year-old McConnell announced this week that he's stepping down as Senate Republican leader in November. On Wall Street, the Dow by 91 points, the Nasdaq rose 183. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Are you tired of the ups and downs of the stock market? Are you sick of logging into your brokerage account only to find out that you've lost hundreds or thousands of dollars in a single day? At MarketBeat, we know that constantly moving in and out of stocks, hoping to get lucky, is a loser's game. Buying hot stocks after they've already shot up in value is a recipe for disaster. It's time to stop playing the loser's game and invest in stocks that have shown they can stand the test of time. MarketBeat has prepared a free report titled 7 Stocks to Buy and Hold Forever, and we would like to text it to you for free. Text the word profit to 68285. The companies in this report might appear to be nothing special at first glance, but these companies print billions of dollars of cash each year in profit. If you would like to receive our free report of 7 stocks to buy and hold forever, simply text profit to 68285 and we'll text you this report instantly. Text profit to 68285 and we'll send you this free report right now. Text the word profit to 68285.
Standard message and data rates may apply. Please consult with your investment or tax professional.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Got a nice weekend coming our way, but still a chilly one tonight. We're staying dry, low down to 37 degrees, but a nice quick warm-up for Saturday with sunshine and 68. Now, we will have some wind to contend with this weekend. Saturday's a little breezy, gusts to around 25 miles per hour. Sunday's windy, though, but it's also warmer. Sunday morning, a low of 52, a high of 78. Sunshine on Sunday, but gusts to around 35 miles per hour. Nice spring-like feel in the air for the weekend. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable, final expense life insurance policy, regardless of your health condition. You could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
My name is Todd Showalter, and I'm announcing The Right Mind Show is officially running Saturday nights at 5. I'll now open the floor for questions.
Is The Right Mind Show funny at all?
No comment. Next question. Yeah, you, different reporter with the same voice.
Your co-host is very cute.
Not a question. I've got time for one more.
Do you do any impressions on The Right Mind Show?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's Joe Biden getting out of bed.
The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday afternoons at 5 on News Talk STL. Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. I should have been a cowboy. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks.
Let's go, girls.
Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. I'll go back. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa.
I love this station.
90s New Country streaming now. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Live and local.
Welcome home. And whoosh, sitting in traffic, stuck in a jam, and being entertained by Vic and thunder-stealing Ken.
This is News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Welcome into the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. It is March the 1st, believe it or not. Yep, flip the calendar page out of that leap year February into March the 1st, 2024. It's 4:07 in the p.m. Thanks for joining us, as always, here at 101.9, 94.1, News Talk STL, streaming worldwide at newstalkstl.com and on a million different streaming platforms. We have a huge show to help take you into your weekend. Grover Norquist of Americans for Tax Reform at 4:25. Dr. Aaron Hedlund of the Show Me Institute at 5:25. Chris and I will have lots of questions for both. Thank you for taking the ride this afternoon with us. How you doing, Chris Arps?
I'm good, man. I had a chance this afternoon to watch the closing arguments in the Fani Willis disqualification trial, or whatever you call it today. I was supposed to be on Newsmax this afternoon and got preempted because of that. So I ended up watching the closing arguments for the last hour and a half. And I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on radio or TV, Tim. But as I was watching the prosecuting attorney's office or DA's office give their closing arguments, it seemed like the judge was asking him a lot of questions about his case that made me think that he was kind of questioning their case. The judge said that I think they have arrested the case, and he's going to make a decision within 2 weeks. But if I had, just from my observations, I don't think it looks too good for the prosecutors.
So it doesn't look good for Fani Willis?
Yes, okay. I think just by the questions that he was asking the prosecutors, It looks like that she will be taken off this case and disqualified.
Well, you know how we love predictions on this program. Chris, I was on a conference call today with the Republican National Lawyers Association, and at the end of the call, they went around the horn. They had a couple of esteemed Republican lawyers on, and then the call was about all the lawfare that we're experiencing in the country. And they went through all the Trump cases at the end. They did a little roundtable, and they gave predictions on what they think is going to happen to each of the pending cases. That's going to be the subject of today's Speaker's Stump Speech today at 5:07.
Michael Thielen's still the president of that?
He is still the president of that, and he is. I don't know if you heard this news or not. He is now engaged to our old friend. I just had a brain cramp. Ashley Varner.
Ashley Varner.
Ashley Varner. They just got engaged about 2 months ago. So Michael and Ashley will be married in the near future.
Well, good. Yeah, they've been an item for a couple of years now. They seem to be very close. So hey, congratulations to them. We'll have to text her after the show and wish them congratulations.
We'll have to have her on again soon. She's with the Freedom Foundation. So, Chris, we've got Chris's Corner today at 4:45.
Yeah,
topic as we head into the weekend.
Yeah, we're going to get some updates on the 2020 presidential race, particularly Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, RFK Jr.'s made a little news, and No Labels has made some news also. So we'll cover all of that on Chris's Corner at 4:45.
Fantastic. Folks, just to reset you, we've got Grover Norquist coming up at 4:25. He is the founder and president of Americans for Tax Reform. Grover's got a lot of interesting subjects that you can take a quick look at if you want to cheat ahead at atr.org. Romney's Fiscal Commission, the, quote, bipartisan fiscal commission. I think Grover is going to be thumbs down on that, but he'll tell us why. Lena Khan, you may not know that name, but she wants to run your internet. She is she's running the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, and Grover will talk to us about that. He also had, Chris, a very, a lot of conservatives especially are really down, especially in recent years, on Mitch McConnell. But Grover wrote an interesting article about the things that we have to be thankful to Mitch McConnell for. So don't turn off your radios. Look, I think we both agree that Mitch McConnell has been a disappointment on many things. But Grover said if you look at his long career, he did some things that were pretty remarkable, and Grover gave him a little hat tip as he's heading out the door. And we'll get an update on all of the state legislative sessions, not only in Missouri but around the country, and what they're doing on things like education reform and tax cuts and so on and so forth. So all of that and more at 4:25. Chris's Corner, as Chris just discussed, at 4:45. The Speaker's Stump Speech at 5:07. Dr. Aaron Hedlund. Chris, do you have your long list of questions for Dr. Aaron Hedlund, who always is machine gun rapid fire ready to rock and roll with us?
I do. A lot of financial, economic, banking news the last couple of weeks. We have not had him on, so my questions have built up. So I have plenty of questions for Dr. Aaron Hedlund, very bright young man who I love talking to every other Friday.
Mm-hmm. And something you all may have missed that we can ask the good doctor about at 5:25 is the fact that yet another GDP quarter was revised down this week. Not dramatically, and it was still overall, the fourth quarter overall was still positive, but pretty much every quarter over the last couple of years, they come out with these big glowing numbers, and then they always get revised downwards. You almost wonder if there's politics at play, which shouldn't be when you're talking about the economy, but it seems like politics have invaded everything in today's world. Oh, my goodness. The Missouri caucuses are tomorrow. Not to spoil anybody's surprise, but Donald Trump will be the unanimous winner of the Missouri caucuses tomorrow. There's it's a formality at this point. And, Chris, the other thing that may be a final formality on the presidential campaign nomination calendar for the Republicans is the fact that this coming Tuesday, can you believe it's this Tuesday? This Tuesday is the very famous Super Tuesday, where I think there's maybe, 15 or 20 states have
16, I think.
Yeah, somewhere around there. A significant number of states will go to polls or go to caucuses this coming Tuesday. And if Donald Trump performs as he did in Michigan and South Carolina and New Hampshire and Iowa and Nevada and some of the others, it will likely be a mathematical certainty at that point. So what will Nikki Haley due after next Tuesday. I think it'll be interesting to watch that.
Yeah,
as well.
I think it will all depend on how well she does. She's been saying that the barometer for her is to do a little better than she's done in the previous contest. I think if she, in some of these states, gets 35 to 40%, which of course is not high enough to win, I think she'll be able to convince some of these never-Trumper billionaires to at least give her some money to keep her in the race for a little while longer, even though she does not have a path to victory.
So let's see. Yahoo here says within 24 hours, we will have gone from 6.5 states having held primaries and caucuses to 21.5. So 15 states. Democrats won't vote in Alaska until April. On the Republican side, a Republican candidate needs 1,215 out of 2,429 possible delegates. Super Tuesday has 854 delegates in the mix. So that would be a substantial move forward. I believe Donald Trump is currently over 100 delegates. Nikki Haley has a small handful. And so we'll see what happens.
The Trump campaign put out a memo about a week and a half ago saying that they estimate that he should acquire all the delegates by at least the 9th, but possibly by the 12th of March.
Gotcha. So this March, as you can tell, really puts the campaign for both parties on steroids because, of course, the political parties, they want to have everything wrapped up well ahead of the conventions, which are in July and August. And so that gives everybody time for healing and fundraising and preparation. And in Donald Trump's cases, he can handle all of his courtroom matters as well, with lots of that going on. Joe Biden's border crisis was put on full display this week, and the long list of headlines that came out all across the nation yesterday, Chris, I would argue were not necessarily good for the president. Even some of the centrist and liberal-leaning publications, they're having a tough time covering for this border invasion at this point, especially in light of one of the things you highlighted yesterday in Chris's Corner, all of the horrific, violent crimes that seem to be just coming out and plaguing the nation right now.
And I think what they're going to pivot to, and they've been forecasting this, the Democrats have, the State of the Union address is March 7th, next week. And I think they're going to try to pivot this to the border crisis and say, hey, it's not our fault. We've tried to do a border deal, but the Republicans have turned it down. I don't know how successful that will be, but I think that's really all that they've got. And that's what they are hanging their hopes on to try to turn this around in their favor.
Let's see. So Fox News, of course, you would expect a headline like this. Biden's reversal of Trump's policies created border crisis, expert says. But even from publications like, well, here's Reuters. Some Democrats, this is on Reuters, some Democrats turned toward Trump in Texas border city hit by immigration. And so you've got some more neutral to left-leaning sources starting to point out that Biden's taking on water with this. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, is suddenly starting to decry sanctuary city status. And that'll be a real turning point if Democratic mayors of large cities say they don't want to be sanctuary cities any longer.
Exactly. And I think that he may get some traction on that. I talked about it yesterday where he went before the New York City Council trying to get them to change the sanctuary status of New York City. The city council told him to basically pound sand. But I think with these high-profile cases of people that were apprehended in New York and have been let go and have committed sex crimes and murders in other places, that may give the New York City Council more impetus to try to change the sanctuary city status. I doubt it, but this is really hurting Eric Adams. Plus, someone in his highest aide, his home, was raided yesterday, so he still has legal troubles of his own concerning his mayoral campaign of a couple of years ago.
Illegal immigration, a big story this week. Inflation and Bidenomics, a big story this week. And also Hunter Biden's testimony. More things have been leaking out about that testimony. It sounds like the Republicans may have scored some hits in that deposition testimony. The New York Post reporting that Hunter Biden confirmed some of the core facts in the impeachment case against his father, including that Joe Biden, after saying he knew nothing about Hunter's business, never was involved in any discussions, Hunter Biden confirmed under oath that Joe Biden attended dinners with his son's foreign patrons while vice president, so while in office, and that was one of the major items, and also that Joe was on speakerphone when some of those business partners were being discussed, were discussing monetary matters. So the Biden family has gone from categorically denying any connection or relationship with Hunter Biden or his business dealings to now having Hunter Biden himself admitting under oath that, yes, his father was present during those discussions.
Yeah, and as we talked about yesterday, Jamie Comer, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, said there were some inconsistencies in Hunter Biden's testimony, and that has given them the impetus to continue the impeachment inquiry, and I think he has scheduled a hearing next week on that. So this is not going away anytime soon. The last thing that you would want during a presidential campaign is to people looking into your personal business and business when you were vice president, and Hunter Biden, all of his troubles. This can't be good, even though Jamie Raskin and the rest of the Democrats are saying that this is just a fishing expedition. But as I've said many, many times, go to the House Oversight Committee's website. They have a timeline of everything. And the fact that the media has not gone to this and used some of this for their reporting is just it's malpractice, journalistic malpractice.
Yep. If you go to that website and read the timeline from beginning to end, I'm sure any normal person would come away from that going, yeah, there was probably some inappropriate activities being conducted here.
And this is not hearsay and what people said. They've got bank records.
These things happen.
Yeah, these are bank records. They've got emails. They have Hunter's laptop, which has been proven to be true. It's all right there. And as we said many times, if there was an enterprising journalist that wanted to win a Pulitzer Prize, it's right there for the taking.
Remember how Donald Trump was impeached the first time for daring to look into the discussions that Vladimir Zelensky had with daring to ask Volodymyr Zelensky to look into the discussions that Joe Biden had with his predecessor, the former Ukrainian president, who fired the prosecutor who was looking into Burisma. Donald Trump basically got impeached for looking into that. Well, now we know why. This final nugget, Chris, for today, and today only, because we'll have more on this, Hunter Biden verified during his deposition on Wednesday that there were 2 dinners at D.C.'s Cafe Milano in 2014 and 2015, where Joe Biden mixed with Hunter's Kazakhstani, Russian, and Ukrainian benefactors. Let me see if I can pronounce this name. I'll have to dig into my Russian past here. Vadim Pozharsky, an executive at Ukrainian energy company Burisma Holdings, paid Hunter a $1 million annual salary, for what, we all ask, beginning in 2014 as his father spearheaded U.S. policy toward Kiev. He attended that meeting, Hunter acknowledged to the panels investigating his father for corruption.
And Hunter Biden had to admit that. He's under oath. He didn't want to perjure himself. But all of that is news that we've already have talked about on this show many, many times, that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden had dinner with this Russian oligarch. She's the richest woman in Russia. Soon after the end of the dinner, $1 million was wired to one of Hunter Biden's business banking accounts. I mean, you don't need to be Columbo to figure out, not Tony Columbo, but Columbo, the famous TV detective. You don't need to be Columbo to figure out there's a quid pro quo there.
Media keeps saying there's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Amazing. It is.
Really amazing indeed. All right, let's get to our next guest. We're going to bring him up right after this really quick break, so go nowhere. You're going to want to hear the always entertaining, the always informative, the ultimate happy warrior, Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform, on a ton of subjects we mentioned earlier. Romney's Fiscal Commission, Lena Khan's runaway FTC. Was Mitch McConnell not that bad after all? And what's going on in state legislatures? Next, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
What the hell do you have to lose?
from the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Got a nice weekend coming our way, but still a chilly one tonight. We're staying dry, low down to 37 degrees, but a nice quick warm-up for Saturday with sunshine and 68. Now, we will have some wind to contend with this weekend. Saturday's a little breezy, gusts to around 25 miles per hour. Sunday's windy, though, but it's also warmer. Sunday morning, a low of 52, a high of 78. Sunshine on Sunday, but gusts to around 35 miles per hour. Nice spring-like feel in the air for the weekend. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Never paint again with Rhino Shield. Listen to what a couple of happy customers have to say.
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted. Our building was really faded. You came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
What a wonderful job they did. It's beautiful. They were very thoughtful, kind, considerate guys. Appreciate all the work that these two young men did.
Call Rhino Shield, 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me for Groovy Grooves every Saturday to hear songs like this and memories that will take you back to a groovier place and time. Be sure to check out the playlist at newstalkstl.com for more Groovy Grooves.
And now for something completely different.
Groovy Grooves with Ron Clutho, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point.
Thursday provided Americans with a fairly remarkable opportunity, a virtually side-by-side comparison of the current and former president and the two men most likely to be their party's respective nominees on November's ballot. Typically, we don't see that until after the conventions, once they're on the debate stage opposite one another. Of course, anyone banking on that actually taking place in this election cycle might want to reconsider their investment. My hunch is that Joe Biden in Brownsville and Donald Trump in Eagle Pass might have been closer to one another Thursday than they'll be to a debate stage come the fall. I cannot for the life of me imagine Biden's handlers allowing him anywhere near a debate stage, unless they're secretly hoping he'll just wander off it and save them the trouble. Which is why it's interesting that they opted to send him to the border for only the second time in his presidency on the very day Trump announced he'd be there. All that did was invite an already troubling for Biden comparison. And so we got to see shuffling, confused Biden flanked by Border Patrol officers versus an engaged, fired-up Trump interacting with the Texas governor and National Guard. And it presented a fairly stark contrast on an issue that's front and center for many Americans. As far as the optics go, I'd say Joe lost that battle.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
My friends, feel
So I stand before you today, Mr. President, and my colleagues, to say this will be my last term as Republican leader of the Senate. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. However, I'll complete my job my colleagues have given me until we select a new leader in November and they take the helm next January. I'll finish the job the people of Kentucky hired me to do as well, albeit from a different seat, and I'm actually looking forward to that.
429 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show, and there is Minority Leader Mitch McConnell announcing earlier this week that he will be leaving in November as the Republican leader of the Senate, but he did say that he will stay in the Senate until his term expires. Our good friend Grover Norquist, president of America's Tax Reform, wrote an article today titled "Mitch McConnell, a Republican Party Hero." Grover, welcome to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show.
Hey, good to be with you.
Excellent, excellent. You know, Mitch was pilloried a couple of years ago when the House was taken over by the Republicans. He cut a deal with the Democrats. A lot of people felt that he sold Kevin McCarthy out. I understood why he did that. He felt that the House would be dysfunctional when it came in and wouldn't be able to pass a budget. So he wanted to pass the budget and get that out of the way so there wouldn't be any dysfunction. Do you agree with that? And why do you believe Mitch McConnell is a Republican Party hero, sir?
Well, that was one call, and I think you may be exactly right on how it played out. We certainly did get exactly the dysfunction that some had expected. But I want to go bigger picture.
Okay.
If Mitch McConnell had never been born, remember the it's a Wonderful Life, right?
Mm-hmm.
We would today have Washington, D.C. as a state. We'd have maybe 20 people on the Supreme Court, 15 of them Democrats. We would have no right to work in any state. I realize Hawley's against right to work, but most Republicans support the right of workers not to have to pay union dues. The changes in the country, and we'd have a campaign finance law, which basically makes it illegal for regular citizens to participate in American politics. It would make it impossible for the National Rifle Association to participate in elections, or the Right to Life Committee to participate in elections. But labor unions would be empowered to. And what am I referring to? There were two big fights that were led by and won by Mitch McConnell and were not being fought by anybody else at the beginning. And that was campaign finance reform. The Democrats, when Nixon won twice, back in the late 60s, early 70s, the Democrats said, my goodness, we need to change the rules or we will not be running this country anymore. And so we have to change the rules on who can contribute. And they wanted to make it possible for labor unions to make endless amounts of contributions. Of course, they get their money by force from workers. School teachers were required to pay $1,000 in dues. If you had a $50,000 job, you pay $1,000 in dues. And they could spend that. And there was nothing on the right that was similar. And matter of fact, those groups that did play in the act in politics, like Right to Work or Right to Life, or the National Rifle Association, they would have been cut out and not allowed to participate. That was the rules that the Democrats put forward. And you even had John McCain, conservative Republican out of Arizona, was the party's nominee. He joined that fight because the pressure was so immense from the establishment press. You should be for reform. This is good government. This is bipartisan. And Mitch McConnell stood up and said, phooey. And the links in the piece that I did, and I tweeted out at Grover Norquist, I tweeted out the article, and you can go through the links and see a half hour where he faces down the press. They asked every difficult, tough, nasty, dishonest question and just walked through every one of them and made the case why this campaign finance reform was rigging the elections for Democrats, and we beat it. We stopped it. Part of that was judges. He was part of the efforts to go to the court and say the First Amendment doesn't allow this, and we eventually won that fight. And then the other one is courts. Then on the way out, just as Obama was leaving the White House, a year out before he was going to have to go, a justice left, and there was an opportunity or a requirement that one be put forward. Obama wanted to put a guy named Gartlett, who is now the most political left-wing political hack ever at the Department of Justice. And he was being sold by the press. Again, the establishment was saying, oh, he's a moderate, so reasonable. And Mitch McConnell said, we'll let the next president make this decision. We will not be making this decision now. He was viciously attacked. A lot of Republicans who were up for election, they spent millions of dollars trying to go after the Iowa Senator Grassley, and he held tough. But Mitch said, we're not having a vote. We're not having a vote. The press just pilloried him day after day. They were sure they'd break him. They were sure they'd break the Republican phalanx. And he held. Trump was elected. And then there were three hard-fought efforts to get better three conservatives onto the court, judicial conservatives. And the guy who managed that through the Senate was Mitch McConnell. If you remember the dirty tricks the left played, they came up with all sorts of dishonest stories. They got caught lying about it. And so if we had in fact had campaign finance reform, the Democrats would have been able to win significant majorities in the House and Senate. Republicans would not have been able to run the House or the Senate. If not for Mitch McConnell, the Supreme Court would be run by people on the left, a narrow majority, but a very hard left majority there. This is a very significant change in the direction of the country, and Mitch McConnell made it happen. Oh, the other one is that there was pressure from a lot of well-meaning Republicans to say we should get rid of the filibuster. This is when we had a narrow majority in the Senate, but not 60 votes. So there are a lot of things we couldn't pass. You have to have 60 votes to make a big change in the Senate. That's not easy to do. It takes a lot of work. It doesn't happen very often. And people said, well, why don't we take the narrow majority we have, change the rules, get rid of the filibuster? If we had done that, and the Democrats won the House and the Senate under Obama, that's when they would have changed how many Supreme Court justices there are. Add 10 Democrats. It's when they would have made D.C. a state, maybe Puerto Rico, maybe Virgin Islands. Who knows? I mean, Guam. All of these things would have happened because the hard left wanted them and only didn't get them because they didn't have the votes to break a filibuster. This is the dystopian future we would have had, and Mitch McConnell stopped it. And if anybody else had been there on those three big decisions, stopping campaign finance reform, defending the filibuster, making sure that Obama did not get that fifth judge that would have allowed them to change the rules for us, we'd be in a completely different place than we are now and going to Hades very rapidly.
Yeah, I'd urge you folks to. I know a lot of conservatives, a lot of Republicans these days are aggravated with Mitch McConnell, but I think you got to look at the long game, as Grover pointed out. The great article by Grover, Mitch McConnell, a Republican Party hero.
Not going to win a lot of popularity contests with that column there, Grover.
Yeah, but I think it's a correct recitation of history. And on judges alone, we'd be in a really horrible place right now, but for Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell. Grover, I want to talk about something that maybe is not so happy, but may not be going anywhere, which would be happy, and that is this so-called bipartisan tax commission, fiscal commission. And I believe characters like Mitt Romney are involved, Joe Manchin might be involved, and some others. You know, Grover, it would be really nice if bipartisan truly meant bipartisan anymore. But it seems, Grover, that in D.C. language, bipartisan means Republicans like Mitt Romney giving Democrats everything they want. Is that what this fiscal commission is, or am I missing something? Do tell.
Oh, it's worse than the way you laid it out. Mitt Romney said, I'm on my way out. How about this? A little Parthian shot here that I can stab Trump in the back, be beloved by the press. He never got the love from the press that McCain got. McCain got it because he pushed for campaign finance reform, which would have allowed the Democrats to run everything. Didn't happen, but the press loved him for it. He got literally, I did a calculation on this one, millions of dollars of free publicity by being on those weekend shows that were the widely seen, Sunday shows, because he was for campaign finance reform and to talk about it, and that raised his visibility. And Romney never got love like that, and he's kind of looking for it. He would like to have in his dotage the appreciation of ABC, CBS, NBC, and public broadcasting telling him how wonderful he is and probably comparing him positively versus Trump. I can only imagine that would be part of the deal. And so Romney said, look, how about if we're worried about the deficit, which, of course, he misses the deal. We're worried about spending too much. Okay, government is spending too much. We need to spend less. That's the problem. We're spending too much. We need to spend less. He thinks that one of the solutions to spending too much is to raise taxes to pay for spending too much. That's not the solution. That's like offering people another bottle of whiskey to help them stop drinking. And here's what we're going to do. You're going to drink less, and here's another bottle of whiskey. Do you think that and they'll drink less? No, they'll keep drinking, and they'll keep spending. If you give them higher taxes, they will spend it. That is what Democrats do with money. They spend it. They don't put it under a rock. So, again, this is a dumb idea that's been tried 4-5 times in recent history. Remember or read about when the Democrats went to Reagan. Matter of fact, the Republican leader, Bob Dole, was part of that. He went to Reagan and said, we will cut spending $3 for every dollar of tax increase you agree to. And basically they threatened Reagan's ability to rebuild defense, and which was necessary with the Soviet Union. So Reagan said, okay, we'll do that. The dollar of tax increases, it was like $80 billion of tax increases, that passed. The promised spending cuts never happened. In fact, spending went up more rapidly after the tax increase than before. So it got worse. Okay, spending went up, not down at all. Then 8 years later, they went to George Herbert Walker Bush and they said, you, sir, are a cheaper date. We will give you $2 of imaginary spending cuts. I mean, look, if you're dealing with Confederate currency, why not 10? We'll give you $10 of imaginary dollars of spending cuts, and for $1 tax increase. Make him feel good. No, 2. And of course, the tax increase was real, cost him his presidency, kind of expensive. But the $2 of spending cuts never happened. Spending, oddly enough, went up faster after that deal than before. Okay, they tried the same thing under Obama. They set up the Kerry Commission. This was going to be a bipartisan commission. It was going to recommend spending cuts and tax increases. The last time Kerry came to talk to me, Senator Kerry out of Massachusetts, he said, Grover, we're very close. I need you to talk to the Republicans. I said, well, what do you got? He said, well, to close the $1.2 trillion deficit, because they're, again, focused on the deficit, not spending. The problem is spending, not the deficit. You get rid of spending, you get rid of the deficit by raising taxes, then the spending keeps worse. Okay, so we got to solve the $1.2 trillion deficit problem. Here's what we'll do: I want $1.4 trillion in tax increases, so we can have an additional $200 billion in spending. So even that time, it was all tax increases plus more spending. And the good news is the Republicans said this is crazy. We've all signed the Taxpayer Protection Pledge. We're not doing this. We saw what happened to George Herbert Walker Bush when he signed on to this stuff. So the Republicans were immunized against it, and 191 or more Republicans in the House have signed the pledge never to raise taxes. Most of the Republicans in the Senate have signed the pledge never to raise taxes. I don't think it'll happen, but the press is relentless in promoting Republicans who are open to tax increases, showering them with praise. We should worry about this until Romney leaves the stage.
Grover, before we close out here, I've got a personal question to ask you, my friend. I hope you can answer it for me. You know, we've got monitors here in the studio, and we saw you the other day on Fox Business News. And I'm not going to give your age away, but you were born 10 years before I was. And we were just remarking here how you never seem to age. What is your secret?
Up in my attic, there's a portrait, and that does the aging.
Is that what it is? All right.
He also goes to Burning Man. He also goes to Burning Man every year. That keeps him young. Yeah.
I recommend Burning Man. It does keep you young. This is true.
Yeah. I'm serious, though.
That could be it. Could be it.
And I'm serious, though. In all seriousness, you are aging remarkably well, my friend. I hope I can do that as well. We've been talking with Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform. Grover, thank you so much, and have a great weekend. And look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks, Grover.
Dude never ages, though.
No,
Seriously, he's 60. He'll be 68 years old this year. If you look at him, you would never think that guy's almost 70 years old.
And you know what? Part of I think the thing is, Chris, he doesn't let the weight of the world get to him. You know what I mean? He always has a sunny disposition. He's always like, "Look, we've got problems, but he always says there's happy solutions to every single one of them." He just kind of lets. It's like water off a duck's back, and he's just onward and upward.
He looks at least 10 or 15 years younger than he actually is. Coming up, Chris's Corner, we'll give you a little update on 2024 in the presidential race. Super Tuesday is Tuesday, as Tim said, and we'll talk about if Haley's going to continue and some other news in the presidential primary race. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL, number one for live and local conservative talk.
Dropping truth bombs and making you think. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
The problem is spending, not the deficit.
Until you use me up.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Got a nice weekend coming our way, but still a chilly one tonight. We're staying dry, low down to 37 degrees, but a nice quick warm-up for Saturday with sunshine and 68. Now, we will have some wind to contend with this weekend. Saturday's a little breezy, gusts to around 25 miles per hour. Sunday's windy, though, but it's also warmer. Sunday morning, a low of 52, a high of 78. Sunshine on Sunday, but gusts to around 35 miles per hour. Nice spring-like feel in the air for the weekend. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Even we don't know what he's going to do next.
My name is ivermectin hydroxychloroquine. Hi, Ken. How are you?
Vic Porcelli.
Good morning, trucker.
I'm monoclonal antibodies.
Yes.
Live and local weekday mornings at 9.
We call him Mo.
On News Talk STL.
Let me explain to you how the circle of economic life works. So one of our other advertisers, Dr. Pat Fader, was asking me the other day about this advertiser I'm going to tell you about, Window World. Doc was like, "Hey, the window company, is that Window World you talk?" I said, "Yes, it is Window World. They will." And he said, "We're looking for some new windows. How are those windows?" I said, "They're absolutely fantastic. Let me tell everybody about them. Window World, simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 is how you can get the process started, or just get information. These are not high pressure sales tactic folks. They are here to stay, number one. They're not some fly-by-night operation that has to sell a bunch of windows and then get out of town. Window World has a gigantic facility that they just moved into last year. We're going to go, I think Mike Ferguson and I are going to go visit it next week or so. And we were there last year when they first moved in. Now they got it all done. It's a huge warehouse. They're not going anywhere. They're going to continue to assist more than the 72,000 customers they've already helped in the St. Louis region. They've got a lifetime warranty. It covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. That's just one of the many things they do. They have a commitment to customer service. They are one of only 2 window companies in the entire country that carry the Good housekeeping seal of approval. They're beautiful windows and extremely durable. Let's say I've already convinced you about that. You're wondering, can I afford them? Well, yes, you can. They're very reasonable, and they are also offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit when you call them today at 314-993-1800. Window World is simply the best for less. I want you to give them a holler, see why that is so, have them explain all the buying options to you, and just give them a ring for that free in-home estimate. 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800. Window World, simply the best for less.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps.
I know why he's here, because he found out that we were coming. We were here. Look, you and I made this agreement 2 weeks ago.
No, actually,
I said,
a month and a half ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. But we made it a while ago, and the word got out, and a couple of weeks ago it started getting out. And then they found out for sure. You put up the nice little picture on the right-hand bottom corner of your television set that I was coming, and all of a sudden they announced that they're coming. But they went to the wrong area. They went to an area that the governor and myself have done a good job on, and there's essentially nobody coming through. So, you know, you're not seeing it. This area is tough.
451 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show, and that was former President Trump last night on Hannity talking about his visit to the border. The president had a lot of support from Border Patrol agents down there, and just as it was in 2016, that illegal immigration on the border is a big issue. I think and I predict that it's also going to be a huge issue in 2024. Let's catch up on some presidential news.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
You know, one candidate with a famous last name, I think, is going to be a big thorn in President Biden's reelection effort. That is RFK Jr. His super PAC supporting RFK says it has gathered enough signatures to put him on the ballot in Arizona and Georgia. Arizona is going to be a state that is going to be in play, and possibly Georgia. A lot of folks say that Georgia is not completely red anymore, that it kind of leans purplish. So that is potential bad news for President Biden. No Labels, the group that wants to put a presidential candidate on the ballot, has said that they will decide next week whether they will put a candidate into the race. I think they are waiting to see what happens in Super Tuesday. They have been approaching Nikki Haley to gauge her interest on being a No Labels candidate. She has said that she's not interested in that, but who knows? Hey, a new poll from Marquette Law School found President Biden and Donald Trump deadlocked in the swing state, of Wisconsin, with Biden 49% among likely voters and Trump at 50%. And as all you Republicans out there know, that the Republican National Convention will be in Milwaukee this summer. And I think that's one of the reasons why, because Milwaukee is a big state. Speaking of Nikki Haley, a congressional advisory committee has voted in favor of granting Nikki Haley U.S. Secret Service protection. She says that she has been getting death threats from folks and has been asking for that. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas will make that final decision based on multiple factors, according to sources. You know, after Super Tuesday, it may not make much of a difference if she does have Secret Service protection, because Haley may not be in the race. We know that she is pinning her hopes on Super Tuesday because 16 Super Tuesday states aren't limited to 11 of those 16 Super Tuesday states aren't limited to registered Republicans only. So she's hoping that a lot of Democrats, a lot of independents cross over and vote for her and give her a strong showing. I wouldn't bet the house on that. Speaking of Donald Trump has radio ads playing in Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. They are aimed at African-American voters. Quote, here's a tagline from those ads: President Trump will protect our daughter's sports teams, which is very interesting. He's going for the African-American vote and going for the folks that are upset about transgender women participating in these sports. I think that's very smart because African Americans are traditionally very conservative voters, and African Americans are probably not very supportive of the trans movement. So very smart move there. Also within these ads that are playing in Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, quote, here's a quote from the commercial: Trump will declare war on the cartels and stop the flood of drugs and crime into our communities. President Trump delivered for us before. He will do it again. So I think that's a very smart play there for the president. The latest swing state polling came out earlier this week from Bloomberg and Morning Consult. It finds Donald Trump beating Biden in all of them. Overall, he's up by 5 across the swing states, and Trump's leads range from 2 to 9 points in the head-to-head matchups across Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and with Wisconsin. Boy, that is giving all kind of heartburn, I'm sure, to the Biden campaign. And if you missed it, our next-door neighbor state here, Illinois, they became the third state to kick Donald Trump off the ballot due to a 14th Amendment insurrectionist challenge. We are waiting on the Supreme Court to decide if those challenges are legitimate. Most court experts and people with a common sense say that the Supreme Court will probably rule that Donald Trump should be on the ballot, and that individual states cannot decide who and who should not be on a ballot for president. Hey, CPAC was a couple of weeks ago, and we had our own Susie Moore who gave us an update about CPAC. Vivek Ramaswamy and South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem tied among CPAC pollee attendees who should be Donald Trump's vice presidential pick. So, according to CPAC, it's either Vivek Ramaswamy or Kristi Noem. Former President Trump appears to be closing in on President Biden's lead among young voters. Axios reports that Gen Z and millennial voters were key to Biden's 2020 victory, turning out in huge numbers and favoring him 20 points in 2020. But Biden got 52, Trump got 48 in a new Axios Generation Lab survey of voters between the ages of 18 and 34. And I think a big part of that is what's happening in Israel, of course. And the younger generation is a little upset that we won't pay off their college loans. So they are turning on President Biden. Good news for the president there. And that is Chris's Corner and your presidential 2024 update.
I think Joe Biden is not going to inspire anyone to go to the polls, so he's going to have a huge base turnout, right, Chris?
Exactly.
And we'll see if Donald Trump can stay just ahead of the law enough to survive.
Coming up, Speaker's Stump Speech, and at 5:24, Dr. Aaron Hedlund from the Show Me Institute. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Are you a Republican voter in St. Louis City? This Saturday, March 2nd, grab your Republican friends and make a national impact by voting for a slate of delegates at the Presidential Primary Caucus right here in the city we call home. It's open to all registered Republicans. It's free and it is important. Doors open 9 a.m. at the St. James Center at 1360 Tam Avenue in the gym. Contact us at stlouisrepublicans.com for more details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Hello, this is Chad Clayman with Clayman Group, KLAMEN Group.com, where we buy houses direct and as-is condition with no middleman involved. I recently bought a house from somebody that was embarrassed to let me in the door. There was stuff all over the place and the entire house smelled like smoke. However, we were definitely able to see the potential. We gave them a great cash offer that they were very happy with. So if you have a house that isn't in the best shape, maybe in some disrepair, we're interested in making you an as-is cash offer. Please reach out today, KLAMEN Group.com.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for the Cleaning Pros at Zero Res. It's time for spring cleaning, and there's no one that can help you with that more than the team at Zero Res, especially with this great offer. Book a cleaning in March, mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119. Plus, you can take $50 off your air duct cleaning and 20% off your upholstery, which is a service we've used many times. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at News Talk STL.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Relatives and supporters of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny have bid farewell to him at a funeral in Moscow. Correspondent Karen Chamas reports.
Hundreds of mourners lined up behind control barriers outside of the church, many holding red flowers. On live-streamed footage, the crowd applauded and chanted his name as his coffin was taken out of the vehicle as it arrived at the church. Many came from around Russia to say their goodbyes. Mourner Nadezhda Ivanova, who came from Kaliningrad for the event, told the AP, Alexei, for everyone who's here today, and for many who did not dare to come here, is a person who not only gave his life in the fight for something, but who gave his life in the fight for us. I'm Karen Chamas.
The most powerful Pacific storm of the season is forecast to bring up to 10 feet of snow in the Sierra Nevadas by the weekend. Blizzard conditions have forced residents to take shelter and prompted at least one Lake Tahoe ski resort to close Friday. UCLA climate scientist Daniel Swain, speaking during his YouTube office hours, says he's expecting a multi-day snow event that began today and should end Monday.
Saturday morning, still widespread heavy snow. Saturday evening, continued widespread moderate to heavy snow, and then yet another wave. As we go Saturday evening, the snow re-intensifies and peaks once again Saturday night into early Sunday morning, tapering off a little bit later on Sunday, but still continuing.
Meanwhile, Texas Governor Greg Abbott says up to 500 structures may have been destroyed by wildfires in his state. The Republican governor cautioned during a news conference Friday that the number of lost properties would rise and that damage assessments continue. On Wall Street, the Dow by 91 points, the Nasdaq rose 183. More on these stories at townhall.com.
And a reason to be here that's bigger than you are.
From the creators of Jesus Revolution.
Something about that little girl. I think I'm supposed to help.
Based on the inspiring true story.
My name is Sharon. I'm good at plenty of things, taking no for an answer ain't one.
Find your purpose. Make a difference.
You want to go on an adventure?
Yeah.
Ordinary Angels. Starring two-time Academy Award winner Hilary Swank and Alan Richson. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. In theaters now.
This is Dennis Prager, and now a truly exciting new benefit. My monthly online video get-together for Pragertopia Plus members only. For an hour each month, get an exclusive chance to ask me anything. I'll be answering your questions. I've never done this. Submit your questions for me at Pragertopia.com. This is our chance to connect like never before. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Got a nice weekend coming our way, but still a chilly one tonight. We're staying dry, low down to 37 degrees, but a nice quick warm-up for Saturday with sunshine and 68. Now, we will have some wind to contend with this weekend. Saturday's a little breezy, gusts to around 25 miles per hour. Sunday's windy, though, but it's also warmer. Sunday morning, a low of 52, a high of 78. Sunshine on Sunday, but gusts to around 35 miles per hour. Nice spring-like feel in the air for the weekend. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high-quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Hey St. Louis, my name is Rob Carter. My new primetime show will explore the collaboration between corrupt media and our corrupted political system. From manipulated elections, open borders, mandated medicines, and unconstitutional lockdowns, what is going on? The Rob Carter Show. Let's talk about it on The Rob Carter Show. Join me weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on News Talk STL.
Rob Carter, live and local, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Let the American people see what's going on here.
News Talk STL.
Pay close attention.
St. Louis is number one.
Bottom line is this: St. Louis is number one.
For conservative talk.
News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
But I think it's important that all of that come out now so that we're not dealing with it later. I think he's hoping it comes out later so that he can make it all go away. Yeah. But either way, we've got a problem on our hands. I mean, chaos follows Donald Trump wherever he goes. We continue to see this play out. And we can't be a country in disarray and a world on fire and go through 4 more years of chaos. We won't survive it.
How much of a priority do you think it should be for these cases to get resolved before November, regardless or not?
I just think they need to do things quickly. Yeah. If it's hearing a case, do it quickly. If it's an appeal, do it quickly.
Or maybe not do them at all. We'll see what happens. Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, Friday edition. March the 1st. How about that? Happy March the 1st, amazing. 2024. Isn't that amazing? We are 2 weeks away from most of the schools in the area having their spring break, along with the legislature. I think it's kind of funny. I think it's kind of funny that the legislature takes a spring break. I always thought it was funny when I was there. It's kind of like we're kind of like college or more like high school too. We gotta take a break halfway through so everybody can cool off a little bit.
Say all that wrangling and arguing and all that. You need to take a couple of weeks or a week off and come back and be ready to legislate for the people.
And this year, St. Patty's Day kicks off spring break. St. Patrick's Day will be on Sunday, March 17th. So that'll be 2 weeks from this Sunday.
And Easter's when? The 29th? At the end of the month,
31st, the last day of the month. A little early this year, but the weather's been not too bad, and I think we got a decent weather forecast into the weekend. Chris, I need to mention that this is a Friday in Lent, so I've got to hawk the fish fries, right?
Hawk it.
There is, I think there's a website in St. Louis that like has all the fish fries published. Like if you like Google or search for St. Louis region fish fries. But I'm going to promote, I'm sure they're all fantastic, but I'll be heading after the show out to Most Sacred Heart in Eureka, where I grew up. It's been my family's parish since 1976, and my folks have been very instrumental in help putting on the fish fry every year. My dad used to run the fry house for years. He now goes out and kind of oversees the early parts of the day, and I show up around 7:15 or so to help clean out the fryers. So I got the worst of all jobs. I'm a true man of the people, I guess. I don't know.
Dude, I worked at McDonald's my senior in high school, and I hated when it was my time to close and had to clean the fry machine and drain all that grease and all that. It was the sucky part of the job.
Sucks. Yeah. The reason I do it, it's the only thing I can get there in time enough to do because we have the show, of course. And the guys who help me are great guys. I want to give a shout out to Mike Jennings, who helps now run the whole fish fry operation. Mike puts in ridiculously long days, volunteer for this activity. And then our buddy Tony also helps us as well. They're great Americans. They listen to the station. They listen to the show. I don't know if they're listening right now while they're out running around out there, but I want to give a big shout out to Mike and Tony and everybody, my dad, the whole gang, my mom, everybody's very involved with the fish fries. Suzanne and Abby are going to be helping there tonight as well. It's really good. So if you're in the Eureka region or anywhere close, I urge you to check it out. So Chris, for I don't know what the pricing is this year. It's very affordable. You get a huge plate of lightly breaded ocean cod.
Oh,
so
I
it's
love cod.
Okay, comes with coleslaw, green beans, pasta, homemade dessert. If you eat in, you get unlimited soft drinks. They have milk, tea, stuff like that, water. And in Father Dowling Hall, which is the hall we have, you can do a little upgrade, and you get access to beer and wine as well. So bring your buddies, bring your friends, bring your folks, and head on out there. So I'll be doing that tonight.
What's the parish? What's the name of the church again?
Most Sacred Heart in Eureka. Okay. Most Sacred Heart in Eureka. We are that big church that sits on the hill right at the Eureka exit as you're heading out to Six Flags. So that's where we will be. The first week, 2 weeks ago, Chris, when you and I were over in Kansas City, they had that snowstorm here in St. Louis, and we had several inches of snow here in St. Louis. We still served 1,100 meals.
Wow.
Last week was pretty nice, like today. Over 1,800 dinners in 3 hours.
Wow.
It's amazing.
So is this, is it like a fundraiser, or is this just?
Fundraiser for the parish.
Okay.
Yeah, fundraiser for the parish. And the cool thing is, even though, yes, as you described, cleaning grease out of fryers is not the most exciting or glorious thing in the world, there is some fringe benefits that come with this. We get access to all of the leftovers that have come out of the fryer, so the fish is always fresh. My brother-in-law, Mark, he works for a food supplier in town. He works for PFG. He supplies the fish and a lot of the fixins, and he always brings some special stuff that they stick in the fryers at the end for the people in the blockhouse. So we'll have jalapeno poppers, we'll have flash fried spinach, we'll have zucchini sticks, we'll have mushrooms, we'll have crab rangoon, and so he'll do a couple baskets of that stuff and just kind of throw all that out to with hot sauce included.
I'm paying attention to. I'm trying to look up so I can get the price. I'm trying to look up the price.
Yeah.
I've gone to the website. Now I'm at the Facebook page.
Yeah. Do they have that published anywhere? I think it's like is it like $12 or $14? It's somewhere around there. I'll try to find it as well. You know what I should do? I should text my mother because she'll let me know.
Yeah.
So Sacred Heart Fish Fry, it's really fantastic, and a lot of camaraderie and fellowship as well. Chris, we're going to have Speaker Stump Speech in a second. I'm going to talk about some of those Trump lawfare cases and Dr. Aaron Hedlund. Chris and I always have to have a big old laundry list of questions because Dr. Aaron Hedlund is rapid fire and answers everything we throw at him. Dr. Aaron Hedlund is, of course, with the Show Me Institute. He's the chief economist there. He was a senior advisor at the White House Council of Economic Advisors. He does a lot of great work around the country on economics and finance. Inflationary data is something we'll talk about. The price of homes. What's the Fed going to do next? The fact that the GDP of the fourth quarter 2023 was downgraded slightly this week. Are we out of the woods yet? Where are we going? Chris, it just seems that, like you said, you just told this story this week.
Mm-hmm.
You went to the grocery store.
Yesterday.
You spent $100 or so. You walked out of there and you're like, what's in these bags? It doesn't seem like much of anything.
And my wife was like, I didn't buy any alcohol or anything really expensive. It was just bread and basic like staples. 4 bags, 5 bags of groceries, $250.
Mm-hmm. I've been getting emails from certain groups and organizations and stuff, things I belong to. And let me tell you, everybody is putting out these very apologetic posts right now, and they're apologizing because they're having to raise prices. And they're saying that they've tried to weather the continued inflationary pressures, but Chris, these inflationary pressures, they haven't abated. The rise has slowed, but they're still there, and we haven't had disinflation. So everything is up extravagantly over the last 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. I think we said the other day that for the first time in 30 years, Americans are spending 13% of their monthly income on food. Going out prices are at like 12, 13% as well. So food is expensive, and feel blessed that you can buy this stuff, and it kind of sucks to complain about it, but you feel blessed and grateful that you can afford it. And there's a lot of people out there that are hurting and, can't afford that. So Bidenomics.
Energy, too. Energy prices. Yeah. I mean, the middle and the lower middle classes, the reason they exist in this country is because of access to cheap, affordable energy and food. And if you lose that, then you're going to have 2 classes in the U.S. You're going to have the haves and you're going to have the have-nots.
Yeah, and I don't really pay much attention to gas prices, but I did today for some reason. And gas is at $2.99 a gallon, and I remember a few weeks ago it was like $2.70, $2.60, something like that. So gas is heading up. We're heading into warmer weather. People are going to be driving more. That's going to put pressure on gas prices, and it's an election year, and that's not a good sign for President Biden. Another bad sign.
Another one indeed. And I am amazed that, I know things can turn, especially when you've got, we've still got 7 months until the November general, and a lot of things can happen, and a lot of things can upset the apple cart. But the fact that you were reporting in Chris's Corner that Trump is leading in Wisconsin, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, North Carolina, and Arizona.
By 5 points or more.
I don't think that happened in the last 2. It did not happen in the not at this point. And so, okay, what can Joe Biden do to turn that around? I mean, they're not going to have any legislative victories between now and November because the Congress is kind of shut down at this. They're locked down at this point. He can't really. I don't see any of the wars we're in suddenly resolving themselves. He looks worse every day. So you're right. It's going to be up to like the surrogates and other people to make the case that no. The economy is a lot better than you think. Yeah. Immigration crisis. There's no immigration crisis. You know what? Republicans, they didn't fix that. I mean, they're going to have to do a lot of explaining, I guess.
I think this election for the Democrats is going to be on abortion, and now since that Alabama Supreme Court case, it's going to be on IVF. I think that's what they're going to focus on tremendously. They tried to make an issue out of it. The Congress this week, Tim, Senator Duckworth from Illinois, she wanted to do through, I forgot what it's called. It's a term where they don't have to vote, but they do it unanimous consent. She wanted to enshrine in federal law that IVF is protected. It was a political move because, our position as conservatives is we think that type of action should be done in the states, not at the federal level. A female senator from Mississippi, I think it was, she objected to that. So, of course, that's going to be campaign fodder for them. They're going to say Republicans voted against the bill to make sure that IVF is legal on the federal level. So it's going to be IVF, abortion. That is going to be their main talking points.
So good news out of Alabama on that, and all the other states should pay attention. Alabama, the Republican-led supermajority there on the state level, they have advanced a bill to protect IVF. And so they heard the people's cry on that. and they're moving to protect that, and I think their Republican governor is going to sign that. So all you states out there that are worried about that being an issue, take the issue away, right? Take some action. You're all in session right now. Take the cue from Alabama. That's where the original court case came from. And take that arrow out of the Democrats' quiver. So, yeah, if you can. And it seems like if the Republicans in Alabama can pass this law, then you would think the Republicans in the rest of the states could
that
as well.
Alabama law is HB 237. It says, quote, no action, suit, or criminal prosecution for the damage to or death of an embryo shall be brought or maintained against any individual or entity when providing or receiving goods or services related to in vitro fertilization. It goes on, Tim, to say it is intended to apply retroactively to any act, omission, or course of services which are not the subject of litigation on the effective date of this act. Now, one part of this that I don't understand, Tim, and you're an attorney and a former legislator, they're saying that this is a temporary fix, that this is not something that is permanent. Why is this? This sounds pretty permanent to me. Why are they saying that this is a temporary thing and they might have to do some more to make sure that IVF is protected?
I wonder if they're saying that to kind of protect their flanks. Maybe they're saying, hey, we're rushing this through in like an emergency fashion. And maybe they're saying it's temporary in the sense that they'll do a more wholesale look at the law.
That makes sense.
Maybe they threw something together and they're like, okay, we think this is okay, but we're going to get this through so everybody can calm down. And then maybe we'll take a longer look at it. Maybe that's why that's temporary. I'm just guessing.
And do you think it's a coincidence that Alabama Senator Katie Britt is going to deliver the rebuttal to the State of the Union address?
I think it's
on
brilliant.
March 7th?
I think it's brilliant. What is Joe Biden going to do at that address? Try to read some cue cards through his squinty little beady eyes? I mean, that's going to be a rough one to watch.
Tim, they said that they're going to say that he's going to plug his unity agenda.
Unity!
He's going to call for bipartisan action on curbing fentanyl. He's going to say he's supporting veterans. He's ending cancer and enacting privacy legislation. And he is going to needle the Republicans. He's going to say he's going to introduce some executive actions based on their refusal to pass the Senate's bipartisan border bill. So they've kind of leaked that out today, that's going to be some of his talking points for March 7th.
He cured cancer, huh?
Yeah. You know, They've got that cancer moonshot, they call it, where he wants to cure cancer by, I think, 2030, something like that.
Well, I guess
the cancer moonshot, they're calling it.
I guess when you're desperate, you go for curing cancer. You
can't go wrong with that, Ken.
Can't go wrong with that. Nobody's going to object to you on that one. All right, I've got a quick list and an update on the predictions of Trump's lawfare. And according to the Republican National Lawyers Association, the lawfare against Trump is going to be nothing but a loser. That's the next on Speaker Stump Speech.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
So I'm a proud member of the Republican National Lawyers Association's great group, as Chris mentioned, run by a guy named Michael Thielen. He's a great American.
Great guy.
And they had a little webinar today. I love these kind of webinars. It was 30 minutes. We were in and out in 30 minutes. They got right to the point. They had a couple of hardcore, hard-edged Republican lawyers that gave an update, kind of a state of the race as to all of the lawfare cases being presaged against Donald Trump. Now, I won't bury the lead on that. They claim, and I'll go through their predictions as to each of the cases that's outstanding and why. They claim that the lawfare done by the progressive left against Donald Trump are going to be nothing but losers. Losers, as Trump would say. Now, why do they say that? Well, first of all, let me tell you that these lawyers, they were adamant about what Republicans need to do if they take the White House, the Senate, and hopefully hold the House. They said definitely if they get the White House and the Senate, they need to go on the offensive. They said one of the biggest problems that Republicans have, because we are generally reactionary type of people, we are forgiving people, we believe in grace and forgiveness, we're generally Christian human beings, and the left is full of a bunch of communist, atheist, Marxist a-holes. That's kind of what they generally said. So they said the left is vicious, right? So when the left gets in power, and let's remember, the left loves government. The right, yeah, we got our Mitt Romneys and folks like that, but people on the right, we generally don't like government. So we don't like, when we're in power, we don't like embrace government. We don't like make government bigger, and we don't weaponize government. These fine attorneys from the RNLA, they said that they have never and they've researched this in America's history. They've never seen the federal judiciary and the federal legal system so weaponized against political opponents, Donald Trump, but also everybody from Donald Trump down to just average everyday Americans, men and women who are daring to stand outside abortion clinics and simply stand there and pray. Yeah, Merrick Garland's Justice Department is arresting those people and trying to convict them and throw them in jail for exercising their First Amendment rights. How about the men and women that have been dragged out of school board hearings for daring to challenge the education establishment? Man, another reason why we need education reform and choice, because of these communist Marxists that have taken over most of our public schools, dragging parents out because they're challenging these districts on all of the ridiculous things going on in public schools. Everything from the communist racist theory to the DEI instruction to, hiding kids' preferred pronouns, convincing kids to transgenderize, not telling parents about sexual assaults that occur in bathrooms and locker rooms, courtesy of these transgender dudes invading girls' privacy in sports. Those parents are being attacked. So they said when Republicans get back in, what Republicans often do is they go, yeah, okay, we won, so we're not going to be mean now. We're not going to fight. You don't have to be mean, but you do need to fight fire with fire. And you need to make sure that the legal system is on an even playing field. You can't, when Democrats are in power, just sit there and take it and be attacked. And then when you get back in, do nothing to fix the problems. So these attorneys said what they were asked at the very end, what are their predictions as to the Trump lawfare suits? Here is what that they predicted. And we can go back and look at this later on in the year and see if these predictions came true or not. So they claim as to the Alvin Bragg suit, that one where Alvin Bragg has filed misdemeanor business records violations against Donald Trump, and he's doing something called bootstrapping, another misdemeanor on it to somehow make it a felony, although not really telling people what his argument of the case is, because I don't think he has one. They believe that for all of those reasons, the Alvin Bragg case in New York is going to absolutely and utterly implode. They believe that no matter when Alvin Bragg decides to bring that to trial, whether it's next month, in 3 months, in 5 months, or after the election, it will fail. The Fani Willis case down in Georgia, they claimed that case is also going to come off the rails, and here's what they predicted. They predicted that the judge in that case is going to disqualify Fani Willis, then perhaps quash all the indictments against Donald Trump and all the remaining co-defendants, and then they predicted not a single other Georgia prosecuting attorney will dare to pick that case up. They say there's no one else that will be willing to go after Donald Trump, the other defendants, because there's not much of a case there to go after them on. And then third, the Jack Smith cases. They said the Jack Smith cases in Washington, D.C. have so many appellate arguments around them, so many appeals that are being orchestrated against them that those cases are going to drag into November. And then if Donald Trump is elected, those cases will immediately disappear. They will be dismissed, and they'll never see the light of day. I sure hope that lawfare does experience those brutal ends, and I hope that we never see the use of them again, because this is what people do in third world dictatorships and banana republics. You go after your political opponents, especially the ones that may beat you at the ballot box. And that's the Speaker's stump speech for today. It was interesting. It was interesting predictions. These guys were adamant, and these weren't commentators on a nighttime talk show. This was a webinar with a bunch of lawyers, and these guys were like, no, we think all these cases are going to either fall apart or never be brought for those various reasons.
Yeah, and the president had a good legal week this week. The case that a lot of people are saying that is going to be the most damaging for him is the Mar-a-Lago documents case. That judge in that case was appointed by Donald Trump. She has delayed that trial for a couple of months. So that was some good news for him. I don't think, and I'm sure the lawyers said on the call, I don't think any of these trials will be ended before the November election.
It's now March. Mm-hmm. We shall see what happens. Chris, we have to get to a break because Dr. Aaron Hedlund is standing by to answer all of our questions as to the Fed, inflation, the economy, prices, the future of our nation with $34 trillion in debt, and more. Will he have some happy news for us? We'll try to drag a tidbit or two out of Dr. Aaron Hedlund when Chris and I speak with him next at 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, driving the leftist crazy all afternoon.
I want him to do something about George Soros in this country. Get him out.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Got a nice weekend coming our way, but still a chilly one tonight. We're staying dry, low down to 37 degrees, but a nice quick warm-up for Saturday with sunshine and 68. Now, we will have some wind to contend with this weekend. Saturday's a little breezy, gusts to around 25 miles per hour. Sunday's windy, though, but it's also warmer. Sunday morning, a low of 52, a high of 78. Sunshine on Sunday, but gusts to around 35 miles per hour. Nice spring-like feel in the air for the weekend. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Listen anytime.
It happens
anywhere. Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news
with the News Talk STL app.
Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go.
Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store
or at newstalkstl.com.
Looking for a place to head to dinner or lunch over the weekend? I got the place for you. Espino's Mexican Grill. I'm on their website right now, espinosmexicanbargrill.com. First of all, let me tell you where they are. They're in the heart of it all. 17409 Chesterfield Airport Road is where Espino's is. espinosmexicanbargrill.com on the internets. You know, at Espino's, they have got everything that you would expect and more. I say and more because they are not your traditional Mexican restaurant. You know what I'm talking about. A lot of times, don't you feel like you go in a lot of Mexican eateries around town and it's like the same menu with the same food? It's kind of weird, right? Not Espino's. I'm looking at Espino's menu right now. It is incredibly unique. Yes, the specialties that you're used to, the burritos, the fajitas, the enchiladas, they've got all that, but they've got specials within specials. So like on the enchiladas, I'm a big enchiladas fan. They've got 5 different enchiladas plates, right? And then below that, they've got specials as well that include burritos and more enchiladas. Chimichangas, they've got bowls, so if you're worried about the carbs and stuff, you can get a bowl there, right? Or if you just want to be on the liquid diet, Espino's has got an awesome bar as well. Coldest drinks around, huge tequila menu, live music throughout the weekends, and so much more. My mouth's watering. Hope I've got your taste buds tingling as well. Espino's Mexican Grill, 17409 Chesterfield Airport Road, 24/7. You can check out, I'm looking at the gigantic menu right now. Urge you to go to that, and then urge you to head over to Espino's. espinosmexicanbargrill.com. That's espinosmexicanbargrill.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
The strength of the U.S. economy has been a key driver of this positive economic performance. The Biden administration's policies, starting with the American Rescue Plan and continuing with historic investments in infrastructure, clean energy, and manufacturing, have led to strong U.S. GDP growth. Inflation has come down significantly from its peak. The U.S. labor market is also historically strong. Prime-age labor force participation is above its pre-pandemic level, and the unemployment rate is near historic lows.
So according to Janet Yellen, Chris, the Biden administration should get all the credit in the world for lighting a catastrophic cataclysm of fires and then now trying to put them out.
Sounds like happy days are here again to me.
Let's see if you and I know anything about this or if we're onto something with what our next guest thinks.
What is your financial situation?
Well, all of our holdings are tied up in the railroads.
Yeah, Reading Railroad, Beano Railroad, Pennsylvania Railroad.
I won second prize in a beauty contest. That's $50 right there.
Are you guys just saying Monopoly stuff?
At Aaron_Hedlund on Twitter, showmeinstitute.org. Dr. Hedlund, your response to Janet Yellen there saying, the Biden administration has done everything. You should all praise us and thank us because, as Chris said, happy days are here again. What say you?
Well, I was wincing listening to that, partly because of the falsehoods, but partly because you could just tell she was reading off of a script, just reading it and then not even knowing what word comes next. The reality is, if it were a historically strong labor market, people's pay would be up, not down. But the reality is people lost $4,000 of purchasing power between 2019 and 2022. And then 2023, there was a very, very slight blip up, but people are treading water. They're getting by through credit card debt, and now delinquencies are going up. That, to me, is not the sign of a healthy economy.
Dr. Hedlund, I got a clip I want to play for you and get your reaction to it, and then I've got a follow-up question.
We're saving approximately $600,000 a month, $7.2 million a year by giving individuals a card that allows them to buy food or baby supplies, spending $13 a day on food. That's cheaper. That's less food waste. This is a real win-win for us. And the money will go into the local economy because now we go into the local stores, supermarkets, where we're going to hire local. This is a smart way to bring down the cost and replace the money back into our city.
And Dr. Hedlund, Axios wrote this week that immigrants, including those who recently crossed the border illegally, have played a role in easing inflation and helping the economy avoid a recession after the pandemic. Your thoughts on that, sir?
Well, I'd like to see any evidence for that because we've seen record out-of-control migration across the border, illegal immigration, at the same time that we had 40-year high inflation. So I don't think anyone's looking around and thinking, wow, I'm so thankful for all the illegal immigration bringing down prices when prices are up by 20%.
Yeah, Dr. Hedlund, and I want to talk further about those prices and where they are versus. I feel like some of our listeners probably think that we beat a broken record. We beat the drum and we sound like a broken record on this. But you know, when Corinne Jean-Pierre goes to her little propaganda podium and says, you know, inflation is going. She'll say things like inflation is down. And that's a misnomer in and of itself, isn't it? Because you have to take the inflationary pressures of each annualized year, right? So, like, you know, many things went up 10% or more during that first major year of Biden inflation. Then the rate went down, but they still maybe went up 5 to 7%. And again, this year, 3 to 4%. So you don't just say prices are only up 3 to 4% now. You take the cumulative effect of all of that, right? And as I saw in an article today, they argued that, yeah, most prices on most goods have actually increased 18% since Biden entered office. That they're playing fast and loose with the facts on inflation, aren't they?
Exactly. It's the difference between inflation and the price level. And that's like you're driving your car and you're flooring it, and then you ease the foot off the pedal, but you're still pushing it down. You're still accelerating. Prices are still going up. The reality is prices have not come down. It's true that the rate of price increases have slowed down, but of course they shouldn't be taking credit for that either. That's the Federal Reserve raising interest rates, which has caused its own pain, particularly in the housing market. The reality is all of this stuff could have been avoided. But the economy had already bounced back from the pandemic recession because of the efforts that were done back in 2020. We were in a V-shaped recovery, and in 2021, inflation was under 2%. So when the administration came in and said, well, here's our Rescue Plan Act, the only thing we need rescuing from is the Rescuing Plan Act and everything that came after it.
Dr. Hedlund, I want to get your thoughts on a couple of major acquisitions and mergers that has been in the news. The FTC is suing to block a merger between Kroger and Albertsons. They're saying that they need to do that so they could compete with Walmart and Costco. And Japanese Steel has said that they want to acquire U.S. Steel. Are these two deals good for the economy?
Well, I think I look at them a little bit differently. On the grocery front, I'm very skeptical of the idea that merging of grocery stores is the reason for prices going up. So I think we should always have scrutiny into mergers. I do think antitrust is a legitimate tool if it's not politicized. But at surface value, I don't really see what the argument against that is. In the case of the steel, then you bring in national security questions. And is there a legitimate national security question if Japan does take it over? I don't have the answer to that, but we need to make sure that we look at that carefully and not through some kind of politicized lens.
Is it legitimate, though, for Kroger and Albertson to say that they can't compete with Walmart and Costco unless, you know, they have economies of scale and join forces?
I mean, Kroger's a pretty huge chain, so I'd be a little bit surprised if they say they cannot compete, but I haven't been looking at their margins compared to Walmart. So that's why I think you want people to look at that carefully. Of course, they have an interest in mergers, and consumers' question is, does it advance consumers' welfare? And by the way, that's a big shift in the administration, is they've actually moved away from that consumer welfare standard to other activist standards, and that we need to go away from.
Dr. Hedlund, the national debt is an astronomical number of $34 trillion and climbing, something that most economists and just normal human beings, I'm sure, never thought was even possible, much less attainable. Well, we've leaped over that. Milestone rather easily. And I know, Dr. Hedlund, a lot of people fear things like government shutdowns, and they say we can't do that because the world will come to an end. But at some point, we've got to stop kicking this can down the road, don't we? Because just like we saw with when you do spend too much money, it has real-world consequences of massive historic inflation. I would imagine that the pressures of having $34 trillion of debt, where it's now such a major component, where the annual debt to spending ratio is such a major component of our budget, the chickens are going to come home to roost, colloquially, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, debt is in mind-boggling territory right now. I mean, we have more debt. Essentially, the debt is larger than the entire goods and services our economy produces in a year, more than 100% relative to our GDP. And the challenge when countries run into crises, it can happen all of a sudden. It's not like it slowly unfolds and then people have an opportunity to adjust. You really have to do the adjusting ahead of time. And the reality is we're spending more on interest on the debt than we are on the military. And we're adding more to the debt each year when we're not even in a recession at such a tremendous pace. We added more to the debt last year than we produced. So even when the administration talks about the decent economic growth numbers from 2023, it's all built on an unsustainable path. Excess debt from the government, excess debt taken on by consumers who are just trying to escape inflation.
Dr. Hedlund, we played that clip in coming into this segment. Janet Yellen was telling us that happy days are here again. Bidenomics is working. But the Fed's favorite inflation gauge, the core personal consumption expenditures index, jumped by the most in almost a year. Something's not adding up here.
Right. It's when you're landing a plane, you don't get down to 500 feet and say, good enough, let's all get off the plane. That would not end well. Right? We need to get down to 2% for real. And so when anyone says, oh, I'm confident we're going to get there because we're at 3%, that doesn't make any sense. Like, let's actually get there. That will establish credibility, and then we can decide what to do from that point on. So I think all of this talk of rate cuts is a bit premature. Maybe at the end of the year we should have some. We'll see. But historically, whenever the Fed has gotten soft and started to cut too early, if that causes inflation to go back up, it's that much harder to deal with it the second time.
Dr. Hedlund, I want to ask you a question about our state budget. I have watched our state budget astronomically increase over the last 10 years or so, from around $27.8 billion or so 10 years ago to now over $52 billion. I've spoken with a lot of legislators, some of the fiscal hawks, who say, you know, we've got to stop spending like drunken sailors. No offense to drunken sailors. We're kind of making them blush because everyone's saying, you know, rougher waters could be ahead. The Biden bucks and the COVID cash, that's gone. That's what juiced a lot of these state budgets in the first place. And whereas our Republican governor has proposed the largest budget ever, I know some of the House appropriators are thinking that they need to pull back on the reins a bit. What would you suggest them to do, given what you've seen in your, I'm sure, cloudy crystal ball looking forward?
Yeah, government has grown dramatically. This is unfortunately not a pro-growth legislature. I mean, you have pro-growth meaning economic growth. They are pro-government growth, too many of them. Regardless of party label, not enough people understand the true recipe to get the economy going. And it's not the government doing this program or that program. It's actually the government doing fewer things, returning money back to people. And what we should be doing is looking for a speed limit on government spending. What I would argue is that government spending should not go up by more than population growth plus inflation. And if you look at the past decade, had we stayed to that degree of spending, we could have had massive income tax rate cuts and actually be competing more evenly with some of our surrounding states, but we haven't been doing that.
Dr. Hedlund, Senate Republicans are looking to draft legislation to restrict the Federal Reserve's ability to create a central bank digital currency. Is a digital dollar on the horizon, sir?
I don't see it being on the horizon. In fact, President Trump's last nominee to make it onto the Fed, Governor Waller, has given remarks that suggest that he thinks probably Congress would have to authorize it. So the Fed just can't do it on its own. And I don't think Congress is going to authorize, nor do I think they should. There are significant privacy concerns. It doesn't really solve any problems either. So I would definitely advocate against doing that.
Speaking to Dr. Aaron Hedlund, chief economist at the Show Me Institute, showmeinstitute.org. Dr. Hedlund, what about one other state level question for you? There's been a proposal in the legislature for many years. Senator Bill Eigel and others have been championing it to remove the tax on personal property. You know, the bill that we have to write every year to our local governments just for the privilege of continuing to own our vehicles. There's also a tax on private aircraft, and if you have a boat or even a little canoe, you pay an extra tax on that as well. My understanding, Dr. Hedlund, is that Missouri is in the minority of states that actually have a personal property tax. So there's apparently a majority of states that are able to function just fine and provide all those local government services. Is a personal property tax, in your mind, something that needs to be reformed, reduced, or completely gotten away with, and because it's a bad way to run a railroad?
If it were up to me, I'd eliminate it entirely. A number of years ago, I looked at our tax revenue sources and talked about how to improve the growth on it. And personal property tax is where Missouri is one of the worst in the entire country. It's not just that we have it and many states don't, but even if we compare ourselves to the states that do have it, the burden is a lot higher here. And so I would love to get rid of that. It's essentially a tax on wealth, and it affects both people as well as businesses.
Dr. Hedlund, I know one of your specialties that you study, is the real estate market. We've talked to you before about commercial mortgages and the rising defaults. Last week, New York Community Bank reported major losses on its real estate last week. Its share price has dropped 60%. Are we looking at a regional bank crisis soon, sir?
This is just the beginning of the commercial real estate problems. We're just starting to hear about it. There are a lot of lenders who are not going to be in good shape because office space is declining in value, and a lot of those debts are coming due, and there's going to be a lot of default. I don't know if we're going to see a widespread banking crisis. I'm not expecting something quite that catastrophic, but I do think there are going to be banks that are in significant distress, and it's going to cause some economic pain.
Dr. Aaron Hedlund, our guest here this afternoon. We got through a lot with him, as we always do, and more. You can follow him at Aaron_Hedlund on Twitter, and also you can find his work and the rest of his colleagues at showmeinstitute.org. Dr. Hedlund, have a great weekend. Thanks for being with us. We'll talk to you soon.
You too. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
As well. All right. Very good. 5:44 in the PM. Chris, I found the pricing for the fish fry.
Okay.
I finally found it. Okay. So you get the hand-breaded fried cod, the green beans, the mac and cheese, the coleslaw, the dessert. If you're dining in the gym, it also comes with all you can drink as far as milk, tea, or I think they have water. $13.
That's not bad.
For all that.
Yeah.
We've tried to keep prices down. You can pick it up for $13 a meal. They'll package it all up for you. Or, Chris, for $5 more, you can have an all-you-can-eat buffet in Father Dowling Hall, and you have the ability to buy beer and wine there, too.
You know, all-you-can-eat almost put Red Lobster out of business when they had your all-you-can-eat shrimp thing last year. You guys know what you're doing?
We only do this for 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
And then we shut it down.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, we recoup. No, we're all right. That's limited, by the way. That's limited, yes. And we charge extra. Hey, there you go. That's the Sacred Heart Fish Fry. All right, a lot of great movies are coming out this weekend. I know Dune 2 is coming out. I think Joey's going to see that tomorrow, aren't you, Joey? He's going to go check that out. There's some other stuff coming. Chris has got some more stuff in his stack of stuff. And we'll prepare you for Larry Connors USA at 6:05. All that and more, so go nowhere. 1019 94.1. Happy Friday. News Talk STL.
Follow Tim Jones on Twitter at Speaker Tim Jones.
When you're landing a plane, you don't get down to 500 feet and say, good enough, let's go off the plane. That would not end well.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Got a nice weekend coming our way, but still a chilly one tonight. We're staying dry, low down to 37 degrees, but a nice quick warm-up for Saturday with sunshine and 68. Now, we will have some wind to contend with this weekend. Saturday's a little breezy, gusts to around 25 miles per hour. Sunday's windy, though, but it's also warmer. Sunday morning, a low of 52, a high of 78. Sunshine on Sunday, but gusts to around 35 miles per hour. Nice spring-like feel in the air for the weekend. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Because of Bidenomics, Joe Biden's back is up against the wall. What do conservatives need to do to make some real changes happen? We're speaking with Stephen Moore about that on Monday.
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL.
Well, you just heard our guest there, Dr. Aaron Hedlund from the Show Me Institute, said he is a little worried about some of our regional commercial banks because of their exposure to the commercial real estate market. Well, I tell you one bank that you don't have to worry about that with, and that is Royal Banks of Missouri. We had their CEO on the show a couple of weeks ago, Mitch Baden, and he assured us that his bank does not have a high exposure to the commercial real estate industry. And also, Royal Banks of Missouri has the highest financial ratings in St. Louis for stability and strength, so your money is safe. Royal Banks offers 17 convenient banking locations throughout the St. Louis area, including locations in Hannibal, Jerseyville, Granite City, as well as 2 locations in St. Charles. Royal Banks also have over 200 ATMs across the Midwest to give you free access to ATM transactions and withdrawals, and I love their convenient interactive teller machines that will connect you with a banker virtually and in real time. As a customer at Royal Banks of Missouri, you'll find their personal service is second to none. They offer a full range of financial services, including products covering all your personal and business banking needs, auto loans, home mortgages, online and mobile banking, plus wealth management services as well. You can also open a checking or savings account online at any time, 24/7, by simply visiting royalbanksofmo.com, royalbanksofmo.com. Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank for your community.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
The wait is over. Capriati's is now open. Taste extraordinary with our one-of-a-kind sandwiches, like our award-winning Bobby with hand-pulled butterball turkey and stuffing, our roast beef with hand-sliced American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, or our crowd-favorite classic cheesesteaks with your choice of grilled steak or chicken. No matter which you choose, you'll always get Capriati's high-quality ingredients. Capriati's. Eat extraordinary. Order now at capriatis.com or on the app.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
We lay out the fourfold interconnected threat that white rural voters pose to the country. First of all, and we show 30 polls and national studies to demonstrate this, so we provide the receipts in Chapter 6. They are the most racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant, and anti-gay geodemographic group in the country. Second, they're the most conspiracist group. QAnon support and subscribers, election denialism, COVID denialism and scientific skepticism, Obama birtherism. Third, anti-democratic sentiments. They don't believe in an independent press. And fourth, they are most likely to excuse or justify violence.
5:50 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Tim, the Democrats have been losing support from white rural voters for a few election cycles now. I wonder why.
That was horrible. Am I supposed to be offended or not? Because none of that's you
got to give him kudos for truth. He put it out there. What they were thinking.
I guess they spoke the quiet part out loud. No, Chris, that won't help at all. That's the problem. Is they're like challenging rural voters and all of us here in flyover country to run up the margins. They're like challenging us to go to the polls, and It's like, all right, I guess we will, you know?
Yeah. And we talked about how the parties have completely switched. The Democrats used to be the party of the white rural voter, of the blue-collar working persons. That is switched. Now the Democrat Party is the party of Wall Street and the hedge fund managers, and now the Republican Party, due in part to Donald Trump, is now the party of the blue-collar worker, the everyday guy. And to show you how that is true, this was a big deal. You haven't probably heard this much in the mainstream press, is that the Teamsters gave a $45,000 donation to the Donald Trump campaign.
Hey now.
And the Teamsters met with Donald Trump in a roundtable a couple of weeks ago. The Teamsters have not endorsed President Biden yet, and they have not given any money to him. So who knows? That could be some type of indication, but it's further evidence that the parties are switching their supporters.
And you know what they could have added to that? I know they love to key in on, and they said it as many times as they could, white, 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 white. You know what they could have also added in? They could have also added in, like, the forgotten, the downtrodden, the minority, right? The left behind. Exactly. Because to your point, those people are also gravitating to the Republican Party because this Democratic Party looks like the party of really fancy urban elitists. You know?
You guys ever heard of the term popcorn brain? Does that sound familiar to you?
Maybe a little bit, Joey.
I've heard of popcorn lung. It's about people who work in a specific type of factory. Is it the same thing?
No, it's not
Okay.
that serious, Joey.
Okay.
Popcorn brain is the endless barrage of text, news alerts, and comments that is chipping away at our ability to focus. That's what's called popcorn brain. Check this out. The average amount of time something on our screen can hold our attention before we jump to something else is just 47 seconds. I can attest to that, according to Gloria Mark, a professor of informatics at UC Irvine. But back in 2012, the average attention span was 75 seconds.
Really?
In 2004, it was 2.5 minutes. And I think I exceed this. Most of us check our phones every 15 minutes or so, regardless of notifications. I can attest to that. And I saw a stat somewhere that says that we actually look at our phones something like 200 and 250 times a day. We are addicted to these little mini computers that are in our hands, basically.
Sometimes.
How many times do you think you look at your phone a day?
Oh, way too many times. And you know what, Chris? Sometimes when I try to go cold turkey on the weekends, where I'm gonna maybe walk 18 holes with my buddies, or I'm gonna go out in the yard and I'm gonna get out the weed eaters and the chainsaws and cut up the stuff in the woods and all that. When I put that phone down and don't look at it for like an hour, like if I can get through like an hour, I kind of feel refreshed. And I'm like, and I start noticing that there's a world around me and there's birds, and I'm like, man, I got to put that thing down more often.
We've been conditioned that if you don't have your phone with you, you may miss an important call, or, your child or your mother may be sick and you didn't have your phone with you, and you'll feel that guilt if something happened. I think it's totally misdiagnosed, but we are addicted to these things, and I am one that remembers that, or I agree with that. Sports fans know that the Philadelphia sports fans are some of the hardest, ruthless sports fans in the business. I'll never forget, as a huge Dallas Cowboy fan, that when Michael Irvin, the hit that ended his career, the great wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, he had to be wheeled off on a stretcher off the field, Tim.
Yikes.
And the crowd was cheering Michael Irvin having to be wheeled off on a stretcher. The Philadelphia fans, I think this was an Eagles game, were booing Santa Claus during Christmas time. So these people are no joke. The Philadelphia Eagles are ending one of their proudest traditions, the $1 hot dog nights. The move comes after fans threw hot dogs onto the field during a game last year. The promotion also caused long lines and was a holdover from the days when a much worse Phillies team had a harder time filling seats. This is one of the people that team's executives told the AP that it wasn't just the throwing, but obviously, the throwing was a little bit of a tipping point. So you can't have a bunch of wieners being thrown on the field when you're trying to play a game.
So we can't blame it on Bidenflation.
No, you can't blame it on Biden. Did you guys know, and I didn't know this until recently, that we are due for another total solar eclipse on April 8th?
I think our buddy Ray Maxwell
told us that.
Picked up my glasses today.
You did?
Yeah.
You know what? Well, the last time we had a solar eclipse is kind of a special moment for me. We were working at the other radio station. The afternoon person was doing a event at a winery. And so they wanted to make sure that if any sunspots or something happened to the studio, that they wanted somebody in the studio. I volunteered to do that. And that was the first day that I had ever worked with Katie Fitzpatrick. We were in the studio together. I actually had the video of that, of us together, and just, it was really weird just going outside at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it looked like it was, about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the afternoon.
Why are we not hearing as... I feel like they're not making as big of a deal this one as the last one.
Airlines are offering special flights reviewing the total solar eclipse on April 8th when the moon will cover the sun. At 30,000 feet, you don't need to worry about clouds obscuring the effect. Delta is offering a path of totality flight, and basic seats for a one-way fare from South Carolina to Austin are $469. So better... Yeah, I hear you. We'll have another one in 5 or 6 years. Who knows? Great show today, guys. We've got more great content for you coming up. Larry Connors, USA. He's going to talk about the New York governor claiming state sanctuary laws are tougher than New York City laws, parents who believe 15-month-olds can determine their own gender, and CNN tries to make you feel bad for Hunter. That's on Larry Connors, USA, up next, 6 to 8. You've been listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Have a great weekend and drive safe.
It's Lincoln Day in St. Charles County. This is Tim Jones inviting you to join News Talk STL and U.S. Senator Josh Hawley on Friday, March 22nd at Old Hickory Golf Club in St. Charles. Cocktails, dinner, Senator Josh Hawley, and a room full of fellow conservatives. It will be a great, fun night. Just log on to stcharlesgop.com for more details and to purchase tickets, and we'll see you there. That's Friday, March 22nd at Old Hickory Golf Club in St. Charles. stcharlesgop.com, stcharlesgop.com. Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company, Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
If it's radical to want to continue to cut and rein in the size and scope of our ridiculously engorged government, then you call me a radical every day from Sunday. If it's radical to cut taxes, give children and parents the choice of getting a great education, then call me a radical.
Tim Jones, you radical.